I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, August the 18th, a whole year older than I was the last time you saw me. Thank you for everybody that sent kind words and happy birthdays and everything, and it sure is nice to get those. Makes you think maybe we should do that more, because when it comes your turn, it sure is nice to get those. I got to share with you a quick story. I was visiting with my mother on my birthday, and she said, your original birth date was also on a Thursday. She said, I can remember that because Thursday morning your dad was not around whenever I was thinking it was time to get to the hospital, because the Clayton sale in Clayton, New Mexico was always on Wednesdays from the time my grandpa built it back in the 1940s. And he was moving some cattle around that he had bought on Wednesday on Thursday morning, so he was not there when she thought it was time to get in the car and head to Delhart, Texas, where I was actually born. So my grandpa had to take us to Delhart for me to be born. My dad come on when he got done with his work, and then it didn't take me long to come out, which he was happy about, because he could not wait to get to the old sale in Delhart to hand out cigars, which was on a Thursday. The new sale's on Thursday now, but it was on Friday for many years. But he was excited about having a boy and wanted to hand out cigars to all of his buddies at the sale barn. So this sale barn stuff's been running in me for a long, long time. This feeder flash is brought to you in part by Toromox by Norbrook, the Moxie with the Moxie. New Toromox injectable solution from Norbrook is the first generic Cydectin injectable solution. As a producer, you can expect the same weight gain advantage that you're used to with Cydectin, but now at a lower cost. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Thought I'd give you a little different visit here on Friday, which will last you through the weekend. It was a slower news day, and no need for me to root for the fat cattle market, because it's already taken place, and it took place on a lower level. So no need for me to try to get guys to stick to their guns and root for a higher market there, which it wouldn't have done any good anyway. But thought I'd take this opportunity to visit with you about commission. Commission is a sales or marketing fee that anytime you sell cattle or basically anything, especially in an auction, you're going to pay some type of commission, because people can't operate for nothing. I ought to tell you, with DV Auction, who I'm employed by, we do not work on commission. Very seldom do we ever have a sale where we collect any type of commission. We just collect a fee for broadcasting the sale over the internet and taking online bids. If you have a production sale coming up here this fall, or especially in the spring when most people do it, we can come to your farm or ranch, set up and take online bids for you for $27.50 per sale, and then just a little bit of traveling expense for the operator on top of that. So if you got a commercial sale barn you'd like to have DV Auction broadcasting there, we charge $350 a month. Have as many sales as you want, so be sure to get a hold of us if you're interested in that. But we are not in the commission business at DV Auction. But the commission business, it doesn't matter whether the cattle are sold on a direct basis. There's going to be commission involved, but the buyer of those cattle, he's going to put his commission on after you get paid there. So you may not get the full extent of the market, because the people that are doing the operating, they've got to get some commission in there. Standard commission, buying commission, is about 50 cents a hundred per hundredweight. It's been 50 cents a hundredweight since the beginning of time. It's unbelievable how everything has gone up. Pickups have tenfold higher than they were when people were getting 50 cents a hundred, and they're still getting 50 cents a hundred. And I know a lot of order buyers and country buyers that think that's a bunch of bullshit, and they would like to get it straightened out. But some of your big outfits don't even pay that. They expect you to buy packer cows and maybe even feeder cattle for 35 cents a hundred. Wow. Most calf buyers have went to so many dollars a head to get it up a little bit more than that. But have a visit about my father again. My father bought and sold cattle in the country when I was young, Of course, he did his fair share of sale barn trading, but he bought a lot of big strings out of the country. He bought them and sold them, if you understand what I'm saying. He did not have an order, never did have an order. Always proud that he said he never did want one. He wanted to buy cattle and then sell cattle. That way, he didn't have to survive on just a commission. He could mark the cattle up. And then back in those days, in the 70s and in the early 80s, your market wasn't volatile like it is now, changing $6, $7, $8, $10, $12 in a day. He'd tell me within a season, if it moved a quarter or 50 cents or hundredweight, that was a big move. So it wasn't as risky as it is now. Of course, you didn't have a way to offset that risk like you do now, but whenever your board came along with the feeder board, that's what brought along a lot of the volatility that we see today. You know, he always wanted to buy cattle, fill a contract book up, sit on the cattle a while, and then try to sell the cattle, and then maybe he can mark the cattle up $1 a hundred or maybe $2 a hundred if the market came his way, and he can make a little bit more money. I can still hear him say today, if I thought that I had to get by on 50 cents a hundred on every deal that I bought, he said, I'd rather have a job at Allsup's, which is a convenience store in our country. It'd be Casey's or 7-Eleven, where you guys are from. But I can still remember him saying that. If he said it once, he said it 10,000 times. No need to risk hundreds of thousands of dollars on 50 cents a hundred commission, because it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And a lot of the business in the cattle marketing doesn't make a lot of sense for the amount of money that you're handling and risking. To do that on such a small margin does not make a lot of sense. But the main thing we want to talk about is sale barn commission. And I think sale barn commission is about the cheapest thing that you can buy. I remember early in my career when I was running a market news office for USDA way out east in New Holland, Pennsylvania in Lancaster County. That was a big goat market, still is, big ethnic goat market. To get into the Muslim demand there that come out of the big cities out that way. And when I was running that office, I had people every week calling me. It was usually through some kind of extension or some kind of a marketing group or something. It was producers that were pooling their goats. They were wanting to send them out east, share the freight, and somehow get around paying the little dab of commission, which was only $4 a head or something commission at that time on those goats. They wanted to get around paying that and get right to the direct market. And I said, my God, for no more than it costs you to sell those, you know, put them in the sale barn and pay that cheap commission, get that nice bonded certified check that you can put in the bank anytime you want to, and you don't have to worry anymore. And I think that's the same even whenever you're marketing cattle too. But there's some differences in the kind of commission that you're paying. For the most part, down in the southeast, even central Texas and to the east there, that's where your commission's the highest down there. And you think, well, gosh, they mostly sell them one at a time down in that part of the country. Yes, they do, and no, they're not going to bring what they're going to bring into Sand Hills in Nebraska. But to put the shoe on the other foot, try to sell one head in the Sand Hills in Nebraska in a sale barn and try to get anywhere near the top of the market. You cannot do that. You've got to load lots of them. And in the southeast, whatever the top of the market is for that market, you can achieve that on one head, and you might achieve it several times on single head lots. But those shippers that pool cattle together and send them back west, they want to buy them one at a time. They've got particular orders. They may have one order for a 500-pound black steer calf and a whole different order for a 540-pound black steer calf. And if you start trying to pool them up together, all they're going to want to do is weigh them separately, cut one off, do all this kind of stuff, and then once you start cutting off and sorting in the ring, that's a never-ending deal. Those buyers will try to buy half interest in one if you give them the opportunity to, guys. So most of the time it's just better to sell those calves one at a time. They can assemble them like they want. It doesn't matter if you've got two Charolais calves that weigh exactly the same and they're both steers. that one might have a darker tint to his nose, and he can put him on a different order than he can that pink nose Charolais, or whatever you're talking about there on quality levels and kind there. But say sell them one at a time. Takes a lot more labor to do that. And those eastern barns like that, the one at a time barns, most of them are charging 3 to 4% commission from the total gross there. I've even heard some in the deep south charging as much as 5% commission. Now that's a little wafty there. But you get there, you start moving up into the eastern corn belt and then the Midwest. You get into the sale barns in Missouri that I'm very familiar with, and they got really good sale barns in Missouri. Hardly any direct trade in Missouri. They've got good sale barns and good cattle in Missouri. Missouri is a big auction state. For the most part, you get on the eastern side of Missouri and the northern part of Missouri, and they're going to charge you around 3% commission. And then they will go to a point where they start progressively getting cheaper. So if you have a lot that sells $30,000 or $40,000, they might back off to 2.5% commission on something like that. And there's a little waiver in there, but for the most part, it's going to charge about 3% commission. Now you start working your way west towards the plains, even in Missouri. You get around Joplin and places like that, they're going to charge you about $20 a head commission. You're going to have a little bit of yardage and things like that. And don't forget about all the add-ons. Of course, Beef Checkoff's going to get their money off the top. That may or may not happen on a direct trade. Most of the time it does, but if a brand inspector's involved. But if a brand inspector's not involved, you got a direct trade, nobody knows anything about it, there's not going to be any dollar a head that's going to be collected there. But always in the sale barn, you collect that. The onus is on the sale barn to collect that, and then they've got to turn it in. And and sometimes people just get so frustrated with having to pay that all the time, and then watching the irresponsible ways that money is spent. But you're going to have your checkoff fee right there. You're going to have an inspection fee, because there's going to be a vet out there, and he's going to inspect the cattle. He's not going to inspect the cattle. He's just going to be there in case something happens. 90% of the cattle he will never even lay eyes on, just in passing there, but you're going to have some type of an inspection fee. Most barns are going to have a yardage fee. If they're very long at all, they're going to have a charge for feed. If you're going to have them there, days before, they're definitely going to have feed, and you're going to want that. And a lot of times your cattle can pick up the weight that they lost if they've got pretty good feed there. And if the cattle like the water, if it's not skunky water, if it's got good sweet water there, a lot of times your cattle can pick up the shrink that they lost getting to the sale barn there. But you get to the plains, and for the most part, the central part of the plains, it's going to cost you around $20 or a few dollars less to sell your cattle for commission. And then, of course, you're going to have a few add-ons from there. It was curious for me to see that the cheapest place that I talked to, and of course there's probably some cheaper, I don't know, but the cheapest decent-sized sale barn that I heard of was our own Beaver County Stockyards. They charge $11 a head commission. That is really cheap, guys. And just a slight fine there, or tariff for yardage and feed if they had it. But that's an economical way to sell cattle right there. Of course, eggs are cheaper in the country. Not a lot of overhead in Beaver, Oklahoma there. And another thing that shocked me was the market that typically has some of the most impressive prices ever that we talk about. Of course, they're sitting in a honey hole right there in the Sand Hills of Nebraska, and they've got the best cattle of anybody. Is Bassett, Nebraska only charges $17 a head commission. But for the most part, it's going to cost you about $20 up through the central part of the country there for commission, not to count the other add-ons. But you get way out west, and a lot of those where sale barns are sparse, they're going to charge you 3.5% commission. And that's not too much when there's not a sale barn on the corner of every street like there is in central Texas or central Missouri or a place like that. Talk about your big videos. Now, like Superior and Northern, for the most part Western, they're going to charge about 2% commission. And you think, well, that does sound fairly reasonable. It kind of does. But you start to sell, they can sell a whole ranch full of cattle in less than a minute. And they're charging you 2% commission. These big 9-weight or 1,000-pound yearlings, bringing what they're bringing right now, you're going to end up paying about $50 a head commission to sell those cattle, and fairly seamlessly the way they do that. Now, a lot of those big videos, like I said, are charging around 2% commission. Western video, there is some variable in that because the representatives for that sale barn are the reputation sale barns in the western part of the United States, and some of them have per head commission that's more in line with what they charge at their sale barns to keep their customers there. But the cheapest commission that I've seen is some of these in-house video sales, like you see Primetime Livestock Video with Joplin, Ozarks Regional, Stockyard in-house video at West Plains. Several of your in-house videos, the sale barns that offer both, they're charging, less than $20 a head commission to sell them on that video, and they're basically tapping into the same kind of buyers as you get on any type of video, guys. And I think that's the cheapest way to go. I'm not, talking up one or down another. All this information is public information. The tariff chart that they have is open to the public, and anybody can take a look at it. I just thought it was something that we could visit about for a little bit. But also, if you sell them on a video, whether it's a big video or an in-house stockyard video, you don't have all the inspections, the yardage, and the feed and things that go with that. Of course, you're still going to have to pay the check off there. They're always going to get their money. But I thought it was a good opportunity to talk about commissions. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. August live cattle futures down 72 cents at 178.05. October down 95 at 178.32. Back months down 40 cents to down 105. Cattle futures have been down every day this week. I would assume they'll be up a tick on Friday for some profit taking by the traders. August feeder cattle down $1.10 at 244.27. September down 187 at 247.12. Back months on feeder cattle down big, 135 to 165. Some of that because corn was up a tick, but not much. December new crop corn was up 4 1/4 cents a bushel, still well under $5 at 4.85 3/4. November new crop beans up 6 1/2 cents a bushel at 13.30. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for September continues volatile, down 10 cents at 7.33. Your fat cattle trade is pretty much over. There's just going to be a little bit more volume on it by the time we get all done, but it's a tick lower. Iowa on Thursday had confirmed sales of 2,700, almost 20,000 for the week. Live sales in Iowa from 184 to 189 and 290 to 295 dressed. Nebraska 6,400 on Thursday, almost 13,000 for the week. Live sales in Nebraska 185 to 187 on Thursday. They were trading 188 earlier in the week. Western Nebraska sold at 186. Dress sales in Nebraska 290 to 295. So the Northern Plains lost ground this week, $1 to $3 live, steady to $5 lower on a dress basis. Southern Plains lost $1, all at 179 for the most part. Kansas sold just 500 head on Thursday during business hours, but 8,200 for the week, pretty much all at 179. Texas 700 head on Thursday, 3,200 head for the week. Prices range from 177 to 179, but largely 179. Box beef cutout values took another jump higher. Packers do not like the red ink, guys, and they don't dip their tail in it very long, and they jump right back up. Box beef cutout, and they basically set the price on their cutout values. It's not a negotiated price. It's like a menu, and they lower it until they start moving it. and then they raise it back up, and they got it raised back up. They gained $12 on choice cutouts this week. But choice cutouts were up $5.15 on Thursday afternoon at $314.14. Selects up $1.49 at $286.26. Your slaughter through the first 4 days of the week, 489,000. That's 2,000 less than last week, 13,000 less than the same point a year ago. Actual slaughter information came back for the week ending August the 5th with your average dressed steer carcass weight at 895 pounds. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Beef is an app that's as easy to use as your phone, and it helps to simplify feeding, performance, and health records all in one easy place. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market, and as talking about those commissions, that was all on feeder cattle. If you're talking cows, they're going to charge more. If an outfit charges $20 to sell a calf for a yearling, they're going to charge $30 or $35 to sell a cow. More than that, maybe to sell a bull. If it's a wild cow or bull, they should charge 10 times that, because you can't charge enough for an animal that's going to tear stuff up. But your real-time index on DV auction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through the middle 12 states, was sitting at 245.64 on Thursday afternoon. That's down 40 cents. So this market's slipping a little bit. We felt it slip early this week, not only on your fed cattle, but also on your feeders, not on calves. If good calves are showing up, they're going to sell higher. They're going to continue to sell higher. And I think the calf market has a lot of legs to go on it yet, guys. But as your better consignments start coming and more of them are weaned for a longer time, we're just going to keep seeing higher prices on calves. Maybe not so much on yearlings, and we're starting to see them slip back just a little bit. Don't forget, Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri's got a special cow sale here today on Friday at 5 p.m. Got special dispersals there. They've got bred cows, they've got pairs, they've got bred heifers. They've got just about anything you might be interested in. Got one long string, 300 head of crossbred cows. Some of them have calves, some of them haven't. That's going to be on that sale. Get on to dvauction.com. Call the sale early. Tell them you want to get approved so you can bid on that sale in West Plains, Missouri. Talk about our big feeder sales for Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas had a good sale, 4,400 head. And like I said, you're feeling the market slip a little. This feeder steers, and most of them were all right off grass there. That's on the top end of the Flint Hills, so they could stay a little bit longer. Those steers weighing under 800 pounds were steadied to $1 higher. The feeder steers off grass weighing over 8 were $2 to $3 lower. Feeder yearling heifers steadied to $2 higher. Salina was your national beef wire stick out sale of the day. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. You look at your best tested weights, and they were bigger feeders. 770 head of 7-weight steers averaged 761, weighted average price 257.65. 1,317 head of 8-weight steers averaged 864 at 245.38. 750 head of 9-weight steers averaged 933 at 239.39. Look at some heifers. 320 head of heifers in Salina, Kansas that weighed in the sixes had an average weight of 671, weighted average price 253.68. 202 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 737 at 241.94. 310 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 840 with a weighted average price of 230.79. Give you some individual quotes around. How about Pratt, Kansas? They sell 57 steers, weigh 9 1/4 at 246. Woodward Livestock Auction, Woodward, Oklahoma, sells a load of heifers in the light 8s, bring 232 1/4. How about Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa? They sell 61 steers, weigh 808 at 252. And the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Mackerson No BS top quote for the day, come out of Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky. 204 steers, weighed 784, bring 256.40 standing in the ring in Stanford, Kentucky. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.